Hello everyone, it's Bailing here and welcome back to another video. Today I'm doing another guide on the weapons in Season 8 and which one I think are the best to use, mainly for rank probably. But there are also some picks that I just will place lower on the list, not because they're bad, but because I'm just not that good with them. And I will mention that they can be higher for some players. I got requested to do this, of course, so big shout out to Glitchfishy for recommending this. If you want to recommend anything to me, feel free to join my Discord and send me there the message. Okay, let's hop immediately into the fun, I guess. And beginning, we will start in E tier. I know it's a bit of a cursed tier, but I don't think there are any guns that are just broken and unusable, because I think even with like guns like Mozambique or a P20, you still will have a chance of killing someone. So obviously starting, I will begin with a P20. P20 is just your average handgun. It doesn't offer that much, and just in general it's not that good. Of course, when you find hammer points, we'll talk about that later, the gun jumps way higher into the list. Then we move to the sniper category. It's also maybe interesting to mention that I'll just follow the setup as it is in the practice range. So starting, we'll do with light weapons, then heavy, sniper, energy, shotgun. Always follow this thing through every tier. So next up in the E tier, we'll find the charge rifle. The charge rifle is really good in high tier ranked, because it's really good to level up your evos. But I think there are just better solutions. I don't think in ranked you're that desperate to level up your evos. Just play aggressive, go for that KP, don't be a bitch, you know. And the charge rifle provides like almost nothing in CQB, and that's why it lacks a lot. Definitely on Kings Canyon in my opinion. I think on bigger maps like Olympus and even World's Edge, the charge rifle might be higher in my tier list. Then next up is the longbow. The longbow is an okay weapon, but I think compared to, for example, a triple tank, it lacks a lot. There's not really that much special about the longbow, and it's like a DMR, but if you want a DMR, why not use a scout, for example? It's way better. So the same thing as with the P20, without skull piercers, the longbow will be this low on the list for me. With skull piercers, we go up a little. Then next up in the E tier, we have the L-Star. L-Star is for me by far my least favorite weapon, just because for some reason I can't aim with it, and when you aim down sight and fire, you don't see anything. And compared to other guns, like the damage output is that good. I don't know. I think this gun needs a bit of buffs, and maybe the flashbang you do on yourself might be or has to be turned down a little. Then we come to the last weapon that's in E tier for me, and that is the Mozambique. The Mozambique surprised me a little, because with Locked and Loaded I actually liked it, but I'm aware that without hammer points it's still quite shit. And like if you find it off drop, it can be a decent secondary, but yeah, you definitely want to find a better gun as soon as possible. And that will bring us to D tier. In D tier, we'll have at first the RE45 without the quick draw holster. RE45 is a really good secondary, but the same for the Mozambique. There are way better choices to run as your secondary. So for in the early game, I would say, yeah, good option. You can definitely defeat people with it, but there are way better choices. Then next up we'll find the longbow, but this time with skull piercers. I think just in general the longbow is a bit underwhelming at the moment. Its fire rate is not that good, and its damage output isn't that high without Skull Pierces. With Skull Pierces is a different story. Now you have the possibility to two-shot headshot someone, but still I think the longbow lacks a little, and I think a fire rate buff, a small one, might be good for the gun, and people will enjoy it more, because I find it a bit sad because the level 100 tier skin of the battle pass is the longbow, and basically no one will run it because it's that like not popular of a pick. Then we come to the energy guns again, and here we'll find, maybe surprising for some of you, the Devotion. I think the Devo without turbocharger is not that good. I really don't like it. Like early game, like off drop, okay, it can get the job done, but when you get into a fight one-on-one, like team against team, and you're ready for each other, then I think the wind-up time can screw you over pretty damn bad. Not to mention the bad recoil that this thing has. If you can shoot immediately with a turbocharger, it's a whole different story. And you'll see that in my tier list. Like, I have that gun way higher up the list. Then the last gun in the D tier is also an energy weapon, and that's the Havoc. I think the Havoc suffers from the same problem as the Devo without turbo. Like, the wind-up time on the Havoc is probably even worse than on the Devo. So I probably would say that you would want to find, for example, a Volt in case you don't find a turbocharger. But if you find the turbocharger off drop, and you'll see that also later in the video, the Havoc is a really good choice, because the damage output on that gun is just insane. Just know that without a turbocharger, it's not that good, to be honest. Then we come to C tier. In C tier we have guns that are definitely viable, and you can run them even through mid game. Some people will even say to end game, but I would say if you find a better gun, still switch them out. But these are like really solid choices. And at first we're going back to light guns, of course, and we'll find the RE45 with quick draw. It's ridiculous how good the hipfire is with this gun, with the quick draw holster. It's really fun actually, definitely try it out. For the rest, it remains the RE45 and it's not that strong, so definitely try and find better solutions. But like, just for the hipfire, this is definitely a C tier weapon. Definitely give it a try during mid games or early games. The next up is the alternator. I think the alternator is like a really good pick of drop. Like, it can definitely get the job done early game, but it will lack power towards the end game. So you definitely would want to switch this out when you come closer to end game circles. Then we go to heavy weapons, and here we have the new weapon, the repeater. I think the repeater is a decent weapon, but like, it's not too good. Why would you use a repeater over a scout, for example, what can basically do the same? Or over a hammer point R301, for example, or flatline. These guns do almost the same thing, but better, because you don't have a fully auto mode like the R301, or you don't have the capabilities that the scout has in CQB, because that gun has really good fire rate up close. The repeater, don't get me wrong, has really good hip fire, but I think it will lack, for example, if you don't have a mag on this gun and you shoot your 6 bullets, you're out. With the scout you have 4 more bullets in your mag, and your shots will fly way faster because it's light ammo as well. So I think overall it's not that good. The repeater, it's okay if you're good with it, good for you, but in general I think there are better choices. And then the last gun in the C tier is the Wingman without anything. So the Wingman has always been a really good choice if you're really good at, you have really good aim. Definitely pick this up. This is definitely worth it. But I think without like quick draw or skull piercers, it's not that good. It's like Okay, if you're like your raw skill is really good, yeah, okay, you can destroy people, but the average player will probably be quite bad with it. I myself, I'm not really that good with it either, so yeah. I think it's a solid gun to pick up and definitely take with you towards the end game, um, in hopes to find, of course, a Skull Piercer or a Quick Draw. Then we come to B tier. B tier are definitely weapons you can run like all the game, with the exception of one, maybe. Like it depends on your playstyle. But first of all, I have this scout rifle here. I think the scout has, I've maybe underestimated it a little because I recently started playing with it and it's actually really good. Even late game, you can definitely destroy people with a scout rifle. But it remains like in CQB towards the end game. It's not the best gun, but still, it's a very solid choice. And I think if they would buff it a little, it would definitely be an A tier gun. But for now, I would say it's B tier because it doesn't have the same capabilities as an R9, for example, towards end game, or an R301. Then next up in the B tier, we have the P2020. But this time with hammer points. The hammer points are really strong and people forget about that. Yeah, definitely try it out. I can't say more. It's like the perfect secondary weapon if you're searching for one. Then next up, and this might surprise some of you, I have the Spitfire. The Spitfire is the easiest gun to use in this game, by far. So I would say definitely use it if you haven't. But I think other guns are just will outclass it in CQB, for example. I think an R301, a Flatline, R9, they get the job way better done up close, and at long range a Scout is better. A Hemlock I find better. So it's like your all-round gun more. It will not excel in both long and close range, but you will be able to do both a bit. So it's a good weapon, but I think it's a bit overhyped. It's just annoying that it has so many bullets, and now with the gold mag, it's just an annoying gun. It's not the best. You'll definitely be able to take down people with a Spitfire with ease. Then next up, I have the Wingman with Quick Draw. Wingman with Quick Draw, same as the RE45, is just a little bit better than the standard version without any hop-ups. But yeah, I think Quick Draw is a bit underwhelming sometimes, but when you, like, definitely if you have Quick Draw on your Wingman and use it as a secondary, like actually as your secondary weapon, it's really strong. So definitely give it a try as well. I'm like a huge fan of Wingman with Quick Draw, so I'll pick it up sometimes. Then next up I have the Sentinel. I placed it here because I know a lot of people like it. I myself, I never pick it up. But I know people very much like this gun and it can destroy people when charged. So definitely give it a try. I'm going to try and do that myself as well. Because I know this gun is really strong. Yeah, there's not really that more to say, just try it out if you haven't. And then last but not least, we have the Mozambique with hammer points, same as the P2020 hammer points. This gun is really strong with hammer points. I think the Mozam has more potential to be stronger than the P20 hammer points, so definitely give it a try. Then next up we have A tier. These are guns you can run like whenever you like. If you find the right attachments by some. These are guns you can take to the end game, and you can say for each of them these can be S tier as well. First of all, I have the R301. R301 is just fucking amazing. Yeah, it can do everything basically. It's like the best balanced gun. Like no one finds it OP or underwhelming. So yeah, solid choice. Yeah, not really that much more to say. Then we have the R9. I think the R9 is a bit outshined by one particular gun that everyone is running currently. that has the job way better up close, but still R9 will always remain one of the best guns in the game if they don't tweak the damage that much. Then next up we're going to the heavy guns again, and here we find the Flatline. I think the Flatline is one of the most underrated guns this season. I think people are still in the mindset that the Hemlock is better, but I have to disagree with that. I think with the introductions of the hop-up, I think the Flatline can do what a Hemlock can up long as well. Of course, a Hemlock you can spam fire a lot and is really strong at range. Like, probably the Hemlock will remain the superior out of the two, but that's also why they're both in A tier. So yeah, both solid choices. For the Hemlock, it's been nerfed. You will notice it if you've come and never used it during Season 7 and 6. But the damage now it requires, I think, 5 bursts to fully kill one in the chest. But of course, if you shoot headshots with this gun remains disgusting. The next up, I have the Wingman Skull Piercer. Wingman Skull Piercer, I don't think I need to explain why it's that strong. If you hit headshots with that thing, it's just ridiculous. And not to mention that you have really good strafe speed when using a Wingman, because it's a handgun. Then we go to the snipers. Here we find the Triple Take. Triple Take is by far the best sniper in the game, because you can use it up close very effectively. And when you hit a headshot fully charged, that does a lot of damage as well. That's basically a skull pierced longbow headshot, so why would you use a skull piercer on the longbow when you have a triple take? That's a question you have to ask yourself. Then next up we have the Volt. I think the Volt, it got a little nerf towards this season, and I myself, for some reason, I don't like the Volt this season. But I know a lot of people still like it a lot and think it's really strong. But I can agree with it's still a really good gun. But yeah, definitely keep using it. It's really strong still. But I personally would use other guns over it. But that's a personal opinion. Then next up I have the two Devo and Havoc, both with the turbocharger. Why do I set them here? Well, they're just disgusting when they have the turbo. You can even argue that the Devo for sure is an S tier weapon with turbocharger, and I can agree on that. But I think the recoil is just a bit meh, and yeah, they're just better guns in my opinion. But if I find a Devo with a turbo, for example, or a Havoc with a turbo, I might pick it up because I really like those guns. And then last but not least, maybe one of the most underrated guns as well this season is the EVA 8. Outshined by the Mastiff, of course, but I think the EVA 8 provides, in some occasions, it can do the job better than a Mastiff. Definitely if you have a portal bolt on it, it can be destructive. It can outfire a Mastiff for sure. But still, of course, the further away from your target you'll be, the better the Mastiff becomes, and becomes superior to an EVA 8. I think if you hit your shots with an EVA 8 compared to a Mastiff, EVA 8 will be better. But I think the Mastiff overall is just a bit better all around as a gun. So I would still suggest you use a Mastiff over an EVA 8. But finding an EVA 8, don't be shy to pick it up, it's really strong. And then we come to the S tier weapons. First of all, I will say all three care package weapons, Kraber, Peacekeeper, and Prowler will be in there for reasons of their own. Their care package weapons are really strong. But then we have three guns here as well, normal ones. First of all, I have the R301 with the hop-up. And that's just because it provides a really good long-range capability. First of all, the single fire without is even that, it are really strong. But with the hop-up, it becomes way stronger and it's really good to fire at long range. Same for the flatline with the hop-up. It makes the flatline out of nowhere like good long range as well. And that's something that makes your gun versatile, and that's why I put it up this high. And then last but not least, I think we all know this is by far the strongest gun in the game, and that's the Mastiff. Mastiff is destructive up close. It has ridiculous range even for some reason. When you aim down sight, the spread becomes thinner, so it becomes like a sniper up to 20 meters or so. You can do decent damage from there. So yeah, if you haven't tried out a Mastiff, I don't know if you've been playing this game seriously, but this is really strong. So definitely try it out. But I will wrap it up probably for my tier list. I hope you enjoyed it, of course, that I suggested some good guns to you. Definitely try out guns you didn't expect to be this high on the list. And yeah, if you have opinions on your own, like for example you think Devo Turbocharged should have been an S tier weapon, definitely write it in the comments and explain why you think that. But be nice about it. Like, say I think Devo like raw damage output is by far the best gun in the game. Just give a good argument to me, and then we can have a chat. Also, don't forget to check out my Twitch. I'll be streaming Apex a lot. Join the Discord if you have good ideas like Glitchfishy about doing a tier list about the guns, because I never done that. Yeah, just follow as well here on YouTube, and I'll see you guys then probably in the next one. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you guys soon.
Woohoo! Wonder how many hits that will get.